The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Late night writers still on strike. Now, the late bot, one of you Weisenheimers must be feeding it material about my actual off-air personality, because these are way too close. So in real life, I've got Taylor Swift tickets tonight. That's right. I know you're jealous. I sat online for 4 hours and got them. Latebot says, tonight, Taylor Swift's concert's about to get a dose of cranky cool as Johnny Mac graces the audience with his presence. Brace yourselves for some serious eye rolls and disapproving nods. Latebot says, I can already see Johnny Mac in the crowd, awkwardly attempting to dance like no one's watching. Spoiler alert, we're all watching. Taylor Swift's concert is known for its energetic atmosphere, but I have a feeling Johnny Mac will be the one guy in the crowd muttering, can we just get to the encore already? I just want to go to bed. Pretty much true. Bert Kresicher's movie The Machine opens today. I've been excited about this one, but as I'm recording 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, there are no reviews available yet. Now, Sebastian Maniscalco's movie, which also opens today, plenty of reviews, and those reviews are pretty good. So I'm wondering why the movie company is hiding The Machine. Usually not a good sign. The trailer looked pretty good. The cast is pretty good. We'll see. Rated R for strong violence, pervasive language, drug use, and some sexual references. The Machine is 1 hour and 52 minutes long. If you are not familiar with The Machine, it's based on Bert Kresicher's comedy routine from 2016, where he recounted his real-life college experience in Russia with some Russian gangsters. The movie features a plot, spoilers, light spoilers, where Bert and his father, who's played by Mark Hamill, are kidnapped by the mob. They want revenge on Bert for how he wronged them all those years ago. Bert Kresicher told MovieWeb working on the movie was refreshing. It's really fun to watch someone as talented as our writers do their work. The coolest thing and the thing I took the most away from the movie is letting people do their job and not trying to micromanage. As a stand-up, you micromanage everything. You're the writer, producer, actor, director, you do everything. I get my own beer from the fridge, like I do everything. And so getting on that movie set and watching assassins kill it was awesome and inspiring. He told Polestar, the big inspiration for the movie was Romancing the Stone. That was such a great movie that it didn't need to be funny because it was a great movie. Bert says, I think going into this, we thought, let's make a great movie that also happens to be funny, and I think we accomplished it. In case you're worried if Bert Kreischer's going to go big-time Hollywood, now he's a film star, he says, nah, he likes performing in front of thousands of fans. You don't get it in acting, you don't even get it in podcasting, and in podcasting, you're kind of doing it on an island, not even realizing anybody hears it. Performing live is very immediate. I'm a junkie for immediacy. I want things delivered yesterday. I don't think I have success. I think I just work really hard and it looks like I'm successful, but I bust my ass on the road. A lot of comedians like to take time off. I just don't understand that. What are you going to do with your time? Why wouldn't you want to work? So we will see what the reviews are. Sebastian Maniscalco's About My Father also opens today. Rated PG-13, 1 hour, 29 minutes. Perfect, Sebastian, perfect. Enough with the 2 hour, 40-minute movies, everybody. An hour 29, yes. Reviews for this one, pretty good. Sebastian was a preview in Chicago the other day and looked back on growing up in Chicago and said, growing up here and getting ripped to shreds. Chicago likes to bust chops, and that gives you thick skin. I know a couple of friends in Chicago who are funnier than I am. They should have been comedians, and I just grew up with a fun group of people, a fun family. When people come to my house, my parents would always make them laugh. Sebastian discussed the acting process and said, I've noticed it's very hard to act, say lines, and do something else at the same time. For example, driving a car and pulling the car over while talking to someone else is something that I have a hard time doing in real life, let alone when we're doing it in a film. They actually gave me an activity to do in the script, and I found myself becoming more concentrated on the activity than I was on the film, so it was definitely a learning experience. I also have a problem with memorizing my lines. I have to continually say them. I know some people can read their lines once and boom, they're off to the races. I actually found rehearsal to be really helpful. We would burn through the lines a few times. It was all a lesson in filmmaking for me. Sebastian said, if somebody's saying lines that are funnier and better than what's in the script you wrote, let's have at it. The reason you hire actors in the first place is for them to bring their own spin to the characters, and if they want to improvise, we're totally game for it, just as long as it doesn't screw up the storyline. It's a sort of collaborative process where we've got a director, a cinematographer, and other actors involved. You just have to be open to letting people play in the sandbox and build their own castle. I definitely had a great time just playing in this movie. There's no stand-up in Sebastian Maniscalco's About My Father. He said, I never really even thought about it. Stand-up didn't really have a story here. The story was the relationship between my wife and I. And me being a hotel general manager is what I would have done if I wasn't a stand-up, so that's where that came from. But I didn't see stand-up being an integral part of the movie. What I did for a living really didn't matter. It was more about the relationship with Dad and going to meet my wife's family. As for the movie itself, Variety says Sebastian plays, quote, himself, the successful Chicago-based manager of a boutique hotel who falls for painter and artist Ellie Collins. Sebastian, the character, is the son of widowed Italian immigrant hairdresser Salvo, played by Robert De Niro. Sebastian is slightly uneasy with the affluence of his love interest's family, which owns an international chain of resorts and hotels. Light spoilers here. When Ellie invites him to meet her parents over 4th of July, he decides it's a perfect opportunity to propose. The only hiccup is the family ring Sebastian had hoped to use for his proposal is held tightly by Salvo, played by Robert De Niro, who insists on vetting the Collinses himself before agreeing to hand it off. Right? You can kind of see where this is going, right? To meet the parents, yes. There's an inevitable culture clash between Ellie's family and blue-collar Salvo. Sebastian navigates each social opportunity with clenched unease. The Hollywood Reporter not as positive. They say the film feels like the pilot for a network sitcom, pointing out it's not dirty enough for streaming, that you wonder why the cast isn't smiling in a montage scored to a perky theme song during the opening credits. Little spoiler here coming up to quickly bring the audience up to speed about his persona. Maniscalco narrates a short lecture about his family history and Sicilian roots, complete with images of Italian men wearing tight Speedos. That last piece of information should immediately clue you into which comedic route the film is going to pursue. 2 words for you, culture clash. You can pretty much figure out the rest. The Hollywood Reporter summary is About My Father isn't nearly as funny as it aspires to be, but its saving grace is its lack of mean spirits. Most of the characters are caricatures to some degree, but they're never viciously mocked. Jimmy Kimmel is hosting a comedy show tonight to support ALS research, as his godson Joey is currently battling the disease. Perella was diagnosed with the disease about a year ago. He spoke to KTNV and said, "My life is perfect in every way. I feel tremendously fortunate." He says his biggest obstacle in living with ALS is losing my voice, my inability to interact with other people and to be able to express my personality. Jimmy Kimmel said, "You can't imagine that something like this would happen to anybody, but somebody who's so alive, and we need to do something about it." The benefit tonight, 6:30 at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club on the Las Vegas Strip.
A go-getter like you never stops learning. ODU Global offers online undergraduate classes with around-the-clock support and individualized advising. We'll help you transfer your credits, finish your degree, and take your career to the next level. ODU Global, the boost you need for bigger things.
Hi, my name is TJ, and I host a daily radio show. I have a bunch of friends that join me for it every day, and believe it or not, we all still see hope in humanity. Are you one of these people too? We want to hang out with you. Just search for The TJ Show on your favorite podcasting platform, or join us at thetjshow.com. We would love to have you being hopeful about humanity with us. Here's a quick sample of what the show sounds like. Hey, welcome to The TJ. As you can tell, you need to hear more of it. Search for The TJ Show, and we can't wait to meet you.
With the holiday weekend coming up, just want to point out I will have normal episodes at the normal times all weekend long. Drew Carey has announced on Twitter he'll pick up the tab for all striking writers at 2 restaurants in LA. That includes the tip. Drew said, "Show your WGA card at Bob's Big Boy in Burbank or Swingers Diner on Beverly near Fairfax, and your meal is free for the duration of the strike. Dine-in only, tip included." The Paley Center for Media announced on Thursday that the screening of the Season 3 finale and possible series finale of Ted Lasso and a panel with the cast that would have included Jason Sudeikis and Brendan Hunt, who plays Coach Beard, that's been scrapped due to, quote, unforeseen circumstances. Sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that the, quote, unforeseen circumstances are the strike, as Jason Sudeikis co-created the series and along with Brendan Hunt, serves as a writer. The Writers Guild has asked members not to participate in press events that were organized by studios, so yeah, unforeseen circumstances. Ivan Decker was planning on filming 2 specials last night. I will assume they actually happened. He told the Times columnist, "We live in a content-crazy society now. The time in which you have to release something is getting shorter and shorter. Comedians are now having to release a new hour of material every year. That's just not enough time. There were 3 years between Chris Rock's Bring the Pain and Bigger and Blacker, and those were 2 of the best specials of all time." He says of his special, his goal is not to make a lot of money. His main goal is exposure, getting my name out there and finding people who like the kind of comedy I do. I just want to perform live and getting to do that in larger and larger venues for more and more people. That's the main idea. He's been working on the set for 3 months, tinkered with the routine over 20 performances, and said, "I wanted to make sure the material is something that will work across all different environments. I'm very thankful for all the prep and rehearsals I've had. It's like a baseball player working on their swing. You want to make sure you get a hit as often as possible." The New Zealand Comedy Festival winds down this weekend. If you can make it there by Saturday, go see Sri Nair. Sri's show is called Upside Down.
Uber and Uber Eats sometimes have the same drivers. How do I know this? Because last week I got delivered to a white couple. And the curry they ordered went to town and had a blast. It was great. Could you imagine one curry in the middle of the dance floor? Everyone's like, "That looks hot."
Little hacky. Maybe not worth the flight to New Zealand. Why don't you go to Idaho instead? This weekend, Idaho's best, worst, and weirdest comedians. Local comedian Beth Norton told the Idaho Statesman that last year's competition, which featured a $1,000 reward for the best comedian, wasn't the best for the comedian's mental health. So this time, each night will award the best, worst, and weirdest comedians. Norton said, "There's a competition element, but it's a spoof. It's kind of like making fun of competitions." She wasn't quite sure what the categories would be, but some of the possibilities: Idaho's best lesbian, Idaho's worst Christian, and Idaho's weirdest take on Pearl Harbor. And The Guardian went to see Phil Wang, one of my favorite comics. He was at the Royal Festival Hall in London. The Guardian gave him 4 stars out of 5, and they said, in a quietly confident show with gags from the sophisticated to the stupid, Phil is consistently enjoyable. Yeah, find his special. I think it's on Netflix. There's one of those out there. You get a little bit of everything he's good at as Phil kicks off with cross-cultural British-Chinese material of the type that made his name. He's got a riff on the British fear of reheating rice, and one about requiring nipples to be covered even when the quote-unquote boob blob is exposed. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Hey, if you're at Taylor tonight at the stadium, come say hi. I'll be the old guy who's like, why is that guy here? See you tomorrow. So you're at McDonald's and you get your bag and you open your bag, you want to grab a couple of fries or something, and there's $5,000 in it. Yeah, this happened to one guy. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac, host of 5 Good News Stories. He gave the money back, don't worry. If you want to start your day with a smile twice a week, I've got 5 good news stories for you. For example, there's an airline for dogs. Or what about the woman in her 80s who just released her debut album? How about the dude who found 150 corn on the cobs under his floorboards? Is corn on the cobs even the way you say that? Who cares? And yes, that was a pony at the supermarket. 5 good news stories, the number 5 good news stories, 5 good news stories, the number 5 good news stories, wherever you get your podcasts.